I've been around this world for a minute, and if there's one thing I know about, it's music copying. All that time getting the music written, revised, and approved, you can kiss it all away if your copyist ain't up to scruff. It takes a certain sort to manage all those details and keep that herd steady. And when you're at a session and you see everything working all proper like that old copyist there, well, they're the one holding it all together. If you fancy to learn about copying, I mean about what it truly takes to become a master of the craft, this here is a course for you, taught by my old buddy, Thanh Tran, busy Hollywood copyist and professor over yonder at the USC Screen Scoring Program. If you're interested in watching a course filmed in real time without edits and featuring a highly customizable, downloadable Sibelius template, well then, I'll see you over at Stratus Sound.
Okay, so now once we've unlocked the formatting, the idea now is that since this is for clarinet 1 and 2, we're going to format the clarinet, this whole part, so then it fits both 1 and 2. However, we only want to see one note at a time. So in other words, we only want to see clarinet 1. We don't need to see or want to see clarinet 2. But to make it easier on us, we're just going to format this part that has both 1 and 2, and then we're going to save it as clarinet 2. So in other words, we'll have 2 of the same formatted part, and then we'll go back and start deleting and extracting out the top note or the bottom note. So the idea is we want to only format it once for these 2 parts. So I'm going to start formatting here, and right now I'm just doing a general overall bars per system formatting, and at the same time I'm keeping in mind of the phrasings and the complexity of the music to keep it clear of bars per system. And right here it looks like it's going to get pretty complex, so I'm going to make it 3 bars per system by using my make layout uniform, and it looks like 3 bars there. Okay, so down here we've got a nice 3-bar, and we can see that the bar numbers will have to move a little bit to get them out of the way. So first we'll bring down the dynamics just a bit here, and this bar number there can be moved up. Sometimes if I sense that the phrase marking is in the way, I mean there's so many elements on the bottom of the staff, I'll actually just flip the phrase to go above to allow for more room. Now technically it's not traditionally correct engraving wise, but in our case with film music and studio environment, there's so much information in the bottom that sometimes it needs to go on top. And the players will see it there and they know that, they understand that it's a phrase marking. Still, they'll play it legato. Since there's a system on its own here on the page 2, we want to try to keep this whole phrasing together from the previous page as well. So let's see what we can do to keep it all together. We have a couple options here. We could try to put these 2 systems together into one, and then that'll open up for this bottom, for the system that was on the next page to now go on the first page. And that might work actually, because idea Our idea is to remember the phrasings together. Okay, now that we have a nice phrase of these systems all together, and what we're also seeing though is a lot of multi-measure rest. And remember, to help the players with keeping track of where they are on them as a mapping, we want to put in reference notes for them, either text references or actual notes references that will reduce the note size. So let's see what we can do to try to help this clarinet player. So at the very beginning here, I already see there's a 3-bar and a 7-bar multi-measure rest. And that's quite a lot to be resting, where they could potentially get lost. So let's see what we can do. Yeah, if we do that, then we may run into a spacing issue on the first page. So I'm going to move everything as far up as possible here and see if that'll help our spacing. And moving this multi-measure rest to the previous system might help as well. So now we have a little bit more room to deal with this area here, multi-measure rest 12 to 17 bar. So let me go back to the score and take a look at, here's bar 12 to 17. And then we have the piano start. Okay, so this sounds familiar that we've already done on the violin part, right? So what I want to do is actually open up that violin part and see if we can save us some. Okay, here's our violin part that we had already finished. And so this is one benefit of extracting out each part individually. So now we can take a look at here a similar pattern of multi-measure rest at bar 12 to 18. So I'm just going to take that piano text from the violin and paste it right into bar 12. There. And also there was another reference point. Well, flute at 19. Well, they playing with the clarinet already, so we don't need that. Let's see what else we can take here. So we have the viola 20 to 22. Let's see if we can utilize that at all. No, we can't. So we can only take the piano text that was from that violin part, which saved us a little bit of time. Okay, so we have an area here where we've got our clarinet starting back up after a 7-bar of resting. So let's see if there's any way that we can help them. 28 is when the clarinet comes in, so let's take a look at what we can do here. We only need maybe 1 or 2 bars of notes as references for the clarinet to see, oh, here we're coming in. And when we're dealing with reference notes, we always want to think when the player, for example, in this case, we're dealing with the clarinet part, right? So when we're thinking about putting in a reference note, we have to think, well, they're a clarinet. So where are they sitting and what can they hear if we put in reference notes for them? So for example, if they're playing clarinet, and they're sitting in the woodwind section, and okay, there's nothing happening before in the woodwind section, so we can't do that. But we always want to start with what can they hear first. So anything within the woodwind section is good. But then the next thing is maybe the piano, or perhaps the strings. Yeah, so that's always something to think about, is what can they actually hear in terms of when we place in reference notes. So again, 20 to 27 is when we need to put in some kind of indication here. So from the score here, it looks like violins are good, 26 and 27, so we're going to copy that from the score. Break the multi-measure rests. We'll bring up our keypad. We're going to shrink the notes by pressing on the cue size in the keypad there. Then we're going to put back the multi-measure rest, and now we need to indicate using our line of what instrument that is. Another nice thing about saving as from the violin 1 and 2 part is we already have a nice custom line we've already used, so we can utilize the same one, and all we need to do is rename it to a different instrument. In this case, it's violin. So we're going to paste it into there. Now we have a new violin reference line that we can use. Press L again to now retrieve our violin reference line here.